Sorry about that. That took a while. It took a while to get started. I had to reset the stream keys and everything like that. Such a pain. It's because we're so out of practice. Well, it's because of various different things. Hello everyone, how are we doing? Are you guys okay? We're live. We're finally alive. It's not looking like we're gonna get burned to death as well this week, so we'll be live again on Wednesday as well. And oh boy, do we need it, because this channel is in trouble. It has not been going well the last couple of months. So that's all good stuff. But yeah, today we are painting hunters with Sabrefangs. We're trying to catch up. We've got Sabrefangs to do. Well, the hunters as well. We've got the hunters with Sabrefangs to do, and we've got Red the Moor to do, and then we are done with Ogors. Which is good. Which is exciting. Which is lovely. So there's that. I finished the cleavers yesterday, which we've done in like a blood gullet scheme, which is quite nice to go with the butcher, which I've previewed over on Instagram if you haven't already seen that. I'll show you here. Overhead, boom. So we've got some cleavers here who are all out of focus. There we go. So we've got the cleavers looking pretty gross and pretty cool, even if I do say so myself. I'm a big fan. So there you go. I think they're fabulous. So we've done them to go with our butcher, and that crosses off one of the alternate schemes for the ogre Moor tribes. What we are going to be doing today, however, is we're going to be working on these hunters with Sabrefangs, who are battle ready with one highlight already done. We've done the Alatok blue on the trousers. So if we can get some good, decent progress on these guys today, that would be really nice. And then we'll finish the Sabrefangs later tonight, I'm sure. And then it's on to Red the Moor, to give it its proper name, because you have to pronounce both the T's. You don't really, but is what it is. So this is what we're going to be doing today. I hope you guys are doing well. I hope you guys are having a good time. I hope you guys are looking forward to maybe the Warhipster channel getting back on its feet, possibly. I cannot do it without you guys, so if you would like to help support the channel, then there are a number of ways to do that, as you all are probably well aware. You can either drop a super chat here today with a question, a comment, or something else, whichever you like. You can become a member of the channel. If you're already a member of the channel, you can gift memberships to other people who might want to be a member of the channel. These are all options for greatness. Because, yeah, there we go. So, the next colour I was intending to use is Doombull Brown to highlight all of the brown. Because it's just a really nice subtle highlight, and it makes the Cygor Brown look nice and warm, which is really cool, without being too overbearing, which is cool. So that is the next job to do after the Alatok blue. On the trousers, where they're getting better. Yeah, kind of. Today it's really hot, but I have to go live today. If I don't go live today, we're in trouble. Like, I genuinely, like, things have been really bad. We've missed so many streams and so many videos over the last few months because of the heat, that we are in a bit of jeopardy here at Warhipster Towers. So yeah, the other option is I paywall all of my content, which I don't want to do, because that's that kind of goes against the thing that we do around here. Anyway, let's do a quick highlight. With our Latok blue applied to all the trousers, we then take some thin down Doomball brown, and we use this to highlight all of our Cygor brown. Go. Ba 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 ba. Hello, Mini Creative. I'm sure you've already got news from the chat. It was sad to hear most of my Space Marines are going to Legends, but alas, we all know Order 66 was coming for Firstborn someday. I read the article and I was like, cool. It was inevitable. Yet more of my Blood Angels go on the pile, to never be used again. What sub-faction is the hunter in? It is a Winterbite hunter, is what we're doing. We've done them in the colours of the Winterbite. Because it made sense. Also, we've done quite a lot of Meat Fist videos. So all of that can just basically be extrapolated out, basically. There's not a whole lot that's going on here that's new and different, as it were. Sorry to hear you've had a rough few weeks. Hopefully be back on track now the weather is cooling off a bit. Yeah, hopefully. Hopefully. It's been since May, basically, until now. We've managed to do 14, I think. I counted it the other day. 14 streams since May, and normally we do at least 2 a week. So we should have 4, 8, 12. We should have May, June, July, August. We should have done 4, 8, 12, 6, 16, 32. Yeah, we should have done 32 streams, but we've been able to do 14, I think it was, or maybe it was 12. I can't remember now. And same for videos. You know, there's stuff like Orc Boys, haven't been able to do it. Haven't had the time or capacity, or indeed the facilities to be able to do it. Hello, Edward. Hi, Josh. Hope you're well. I'm okay. I'm getting there. We are slowly but surely getting through these ogres. Which would be a nice thing to get finished. For sure. It means I can move on to some other things. I've been doing the ogres because I've really enjoyed painting the ogres. And I like that they are quite a small sub-faction. Or sub-faction? Quite a small faction collection. And really, like, having one of everything is, like, a really good way of, like, just having a full army. Which is nice, especially the new stuff. Obviously, you have an even bigger army than that, because you can't actually fit it all in by having one of everything. Because they are pointed so aggressively. But probably for the best, because everything hits like a truck. As well it should. They are ogres. It would have been really funny if the gluttons were like, damage 1, ha ha ha. You know? It would have been funny for the wider community. It wouldn't have been funny for the ogre fans. This is basically the vibe. But yeah, we've been getting there. We've been getting there. Getting there, slowly but surely. And I'd like to move on to some other things, you know? I'd like to... I mean, I'd like to buy some orcs, to be honest. I would like to buy Nazdreg and the truck. But we just cannot afford it at the moment. I'd like to do a Nazdreg video for you all, but for those of you who are bound to ask, we don't have it. So we have to buy it. And I cannot afford it right now. Such is life. Oh. Right, one down. Oh! We've got a legend in the chat, and his name is Yamel Angmar, with 10 Warhipster gifted memberships, because he is an absolute bloody legend. Thank you so very, very much. I really appreciate that. You legend! You absolute legend. Thank you so much. What is the best way to help the channel, Josh? The best way to help the channel, Josh, is... Josh? That's me. The best way to help the channel is like Yamil Angmar has done, or indeed like Zangerous has done with the $5 super chat. Currently hyped and prepping for Suns. How well do you think variety of skin tones from your other tutorials scale up to models of that size? That is a very, very, very good question. We will need to get ourselves some Sons of Behemat to do, I think, some big skin tutorials. I think the ogre one that we've been doing will jump up quite nicely to the gargants. So like the thinned down Gilliman flesh, and then the berserker bloodshade over the top, and then the glaze of flayed one flesh. I think that will work. I'm currently sort of with these hunters. We're doing Fire Slayer flesh for these. Excuse me, it's slightly different. And we're going to do a glaze of Kislev flesh on these to kind of make them just a little bit different skin tone to the other hunters. But we'll have to see. We'll have to wait and see. I'm going to dig out some footage from a very long time ago where I was painting Bundo Whalebiter, that's his name, which is the order-aligned Gargant Mercenary. Which has a gorgeous skin tone, but I never finished that video. So I need to dig out that footage, look at what it is I did, then recreate it on a new Gargant, and then finish Bundo Whalebiter as well. Which means I'll be one step closer to a Gargant's army. So yeah, there's no reason why the King Brod scheme, of course, works. And there's no reason why any of my other schemes shouldn't work. It's just a case of how easy are they to apply, and can we make them any easier? So, for example, if you want to do like black skin, like, is it easier to do like thin down Cygor brown, or is it easier to like go for something like applying Catachan flesh all over it, and then doing things slightly different that way, for example? So there's lots of questions currently, sort of going through the brain. Are you sub-assembling red? No, red's in the background. Red is fully assembled. You don't need to sub-assemble red. He really doesn't need it. You can even build him to make him even easier to paint by having the guys just spaced out a little bit. But he looks like the type of model. Initially, I said this in the sprue review. He looks like the type of model that needs a sub-assembly. But I actually, as I was going through it, I was like, nah, I don't think this one does, to be honest. He's pretty well spaced. There's only like one area where it's a little bit tricky, and that's to get behind Red's feet onto the large cauldron. But that's it. There's like one area is not enough reason, at least in my book, it's not enough reason for me to sub-assemble an entire miniature. It's when like entire models and entire like important things are difficult to get at. So like if you had, for example, like a pilot in a plane, that's a reason to sub-assemble. Though not often, because you know you can usually get at them quite easily. It's just stuff like that. So no, he doesn't need it. Boop, 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 boop. We've almost got another one done, and then we'll be back in the chat. Man, I'm really into Doomball Brown now. I'm so into Doomball Brown. It's such a gorgeous color. If you guys haven't, like, this is a bit of a rediscovery for me. So I did the Rohan horses recipes in the back of the new Burning of the Westfold, I want to call it, in preparation for Ardacon. I do have a video on that. That video might change a little bit because I've got some other things now that I think I want to do for that video. And also we've got to finish Ulwyn, Leaf, and Freylaf as well for part of that, as part of that video. But I digress. In fact, you would have seen me paint Ulwyn's horse last time we went live. Actually, last Monday, I think it was. No, it wasn't last Monday. It was the Monday before. It was 2 weeks ago. So. But I've got a really cool idea for Freylaf and Leaf's horses as well. So it might be a little bit of a pause on that. Anyway, the whole point is, as part of those videos, it required a repurchasing of a favourite colour of mine from a bygone age, which is Doomball Brown. And the reason we stopped using Doomball Brown is because Gore-Grunter Fur is such a good paint for like warm brown leather that often you don't need it. But actually, to highlight Cygor Brown, to keep it nice and warm, I have recently been discovering that Doomball Brown is one of the best paints ever. So I am fully back on the Doomball Brown hype. Where are we at? Oh my goodness me! What the flaming hell? Neighbours long enough to be annoying? What are you doing here? You're not annoying, you come to the rescue. As you always do, because you're an absolute beautiful legend. You're amazing. Like the stream, people, so Josh can buy Orcs and some food. That is exactly correct. Also, do hit a like on the stream. Stream means there needs to be a gold and silver bribe. That's it doesn't need to be. That's not the case. But David's not gonna have to be already with a 50 gifted Warhipster memberships, riding in on his steed like an absolute boss legend, taking us well over our target of 50. So now, because you've done that, we set this and see if we can push this one step further. You're an absolute bloody legend. Thank you so much, buddy. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Where are we? I'll be using that broad tutorial this week. Oh, nice. Nice. Yeah, I'm excited for Sons of Bahamut, especially after doing all of this ogre stuff. The ogre stuff has been really fun. It's happened at like a really tough time. Like, I really want my gold, boys. Custodies? You want more custodies? Why do you want more custodies? I thought you weren't a fan of the custodies. I thought you were. I can do more custodies if you want, you know. I mean, I could try and buy the new box when it comes out. Oh my god, you've done it again. What are you doing? Stop. It's too early. It's too early. My guy. Is that bribe 3? You just really, really, really want those gold, boys. I'm gonna have to do you the Dragon Emperor rune, aren't I? That's the one, isn't it? That's the one. Is Warhipster crying? Only a little bit. My face leaked. And I ran away because I'm ashamed. Thank you so much. He's done it! I'm trying to figure out what we're doing next week. And there's a little bit of a window to do like one thing that isn't a thing, as it were. And I'm like, do I do some sort of... There's a little bit of a window, you see. And I was kind of half tempted to try and do Get Off the Road. Because I think I can probably squeeze in a Get Off the Road. Next week. Legend. He is a legend. He's an absolute legend. He's also the one that's solely responsible for keeping MESBG content flowing on the channel. Mike loves MESBG. He loves it more than anyone I've ever met, and it warms my heart so very much. because he just loves it so much, and he just wants to see more and more stuff and get more and more of his own very, very, very well painted miniatures done as well. The only criticism I have of Mike as a person is that Rohan isn't his favourite. And he loves resin. It's the only thing. Otherwise, he's an absolute hero. Get Off the Road is fine for a filler if Easterlings is still on track for this year. It is still on track for the year, absolutely. I need to compile it all. And obviously start getting it built. It's a thing of, like, I have a little gap. I have a little gap where I can get, like, something that is already built done, if you see what I mean. But the little gap goes away if I spend the little gap building a big video, if you see what I mean. That's basically the situation as it stands. Which, for the Easterlings, given the amount of resin, means that I could spend next week building, but I can't do any painting on it. And then I rush right into being busy again, so then it doesn't happen. There's a slightly bigger gap to do full Easterlings. Which I know is the thing you want the most in the entire world. So we'll see what we can get done. I mean, look, maybe we get Freylaf and that done. I don't know. There's a couple of considerations to be had in terms of that video. A couple of really cool things I want to do, but I'm waiting on a few things to sort of slot into place for that. So, nice for it to be next week. Yeah, it should be a pretty cool video to do, to be honest. Was a full playthrough of Extended Edition Lord of the Rings this weekend while painting squats. That sounds like a legendary weekend. Mine was spent editing Morga, painting cleavers, and getting the hunters started. Right. We need Scraggly Brown. I have a question for you, chat. Because this is how my brain works. And I'm interested to see how many of your brains work very similarly. Do you have pet names for some of your paints? Because I do. Like Scraggly Brown. And I have to remember to not say them when I'm on camera. So Scraggly Brown is one. I refer to Liberator Gold as Libertato Gold when I'm trying to get it off the thing. As you say, do you know what I mean? Do you have any? If you've got some, drop them in. They might be part of my vocabulary going forward. With that Doomball Brown all applied, we then take some thinned down Scrag Brown. And we're going to use this to highlight this little Gore Grunter fur area here on the chest. But we're also going to use this to highlight the Gore Grunter fur on the crossbows. Proacral is my brand. No fantastical names. Boring. That is boring. You have to go to them and say, "Here's. You need to add some more fantastical names." I was saying that I support and I'm now looking forward to get off the road. Okay. Well, we will put that in the gap then. Should the gap materialize. I think I've got the gap next week. Pretty sure. There's a bit of a spinning plate situation going on here, ladies and gentlemen, as you are aware, and I shan't bore you with the details, but there's a lot of things going on, which is never a comfortable position to be in. And as I said, we've been in a bit of trouble, given us how much content we've missed and how far behind we are, and how much heat has been preventing us from doing the job that we so much enjoy doing. You see what I mean? So, yeah. It takes legends to keep YouTubers afloat, unfortunately. I hate putting the onus on other people. Or at least I hate asking. It's one of the worst. Say, hey! Do you like me? It's so gross. What colour would you use to highlight Gore Grunter fur? Scrag brown. Scrag brown is what we just did. If you want to go a little bit brighter, you can use Deathclaw brown. And if you want to go even brighter than that, you can use Ungore Flesh or Towelite Ochre. Any of them, whichever you like. First time joining you live, your MESBG, loving your MESBG content, and I'm now a member of your channel. Thank you so much for becoming a member of the channel. You're an absolute bloody legend. My paints are gone. This one Josh told me to use, and the next one Josh told me to use. What? What did I do? Hey, Warhipster. In the middle of painting mine and my husband's first MESBG armies. See, the MESBG community. They're coming. And I'm looking to buy some white hand transfers for his Urukai. Any idea if 2 to 4mm ones will be big enough for the shields? That is a really good question. The person you should ask in chat, his name is long enough to be annoying. He bought some really cool white hand transfers. I personally don't have any. But he will have the answer. Because he bought some and they were really cool. And I don't know what the size of them was though. So he will have the answer for you. The weather in my area has been bad, and the amount of miniature pile I have been making me down and lost on what to do for any of them. Yeah, it's tough, man. It's tough. I have spent so much time these last sort of 3 or 4 months just looking at all of these things. Like, there's Chaos Warriors there in front of me right now. Been wanting to do them. The Ogres, they've been hanging over me. Freylaf and all that, they've been hanging over me. The Chaos Knights are here. I've got... what's his name? Jurgen and Caiaphas Kane. They're here as well. Haven't been able to do them because of the heat. What else have we got? There's more. There's definitely more. We've got some Blood Bowl characters as well. Curveball for you, Josh. What yellow would you use to paint something like the HMS Victory? I have a HMS Victory because Alice bought me one. It's like 3,000 pieces, and I want to build it when we move. HMS Victory. Let's look at the yellow. It kind of depends. I mean, like, you probably could get away with doing any of the flat one. Well, I think it's a choice between Iron Jaws and Imperial Fist. Is probably the thing. The one to do though would be to look at what Humbrol, I think it is, what their value that they use, because they'll have it'll be like something 2947 or something like that. What they use, and then try and sort of color matching it back. But yeah, I think you could probably get away with Imperial Fist, or you could get away with using Bad Moon. Oh, sorry, not Bad Moon Yellow. Iron Jaws Yellow. Bad Moon Yellow is a bit too green, as it were. White hand decals equals Etsy angry space triangles. They have 3 and 4, 6 and 8 millimeter, and 10, 12, and 15 millimeters. There you go. That's the answer for you, Lottie and Gary. I'm also new to your streams. Started watching your videos recently while searching for a good Great Unclean One tutorial, and yours from years ago was amazing. What sorts of armies do you play the most? Do I play the most? The most I've played, I'll tell you my recent armies that I've played have been Blood Angels, Stormcast Eternals, and the Riders of Rohan, specifically Riders of Aomer. That's been my 3 most recent armies. I'm looking to branch out a little bit. I'm going to the doubles in Kempton Park. AOS Kempton Park. And I want to see if I can convince Adam to run Ogres and Sons of Bahamut. I think that would be really fun. But we shall see. Flesh Eater Courts I've played a lot of. Astra Militarum I used to play a lot of. Custodes I've played a lot of. Imperial Knights, I did one whole tournament as an Imperial Knight, and I went 4-1. But it was back in the day when they were really, really gross. They were really grim. But yeah. Cathay, I'm working on trying to get a Cathay army together. I would like to see what the future holds for the old world, but I would like to do an Empire of Man army, but I would really like to see if they redo the Empire of Man stuff. Hello, Mr. Gwatkin. How are you? I want to try and dig out some Peasant Levy and do them. Will you be doing much more Old World content? We try and do Old World content as and when we can. I actually dug this out the other day. The High Elf Lords. I want to paint this. Because I really like... This is basically Tyrion. I dug this out the other day. I bought this a little while ago to do a video on it. Because I also wanted something to go with my Illyrian Reavers. But we shall see. Old World content happens when it happens. It's one of those things. I think for me personally with Old World, the thing to bear in mind is that now that we've seen Chaos Warriors and Chaos Marauders get redone, I'm kind of looking at now, I think we're going to get a similar treatment for a lot of other things. Maybe not whole ranges of stuff, but like some other stuff, we're going to start seeing more Old World content dropping. So I'm very wary about, like, you know, buying, like, for example, buying old Empire state troops and doing them in case Games Workshop goes, here's some new handgunners. And they're just much, much better. You see what I mean? So it's a difficult one. Had some fun with the catapult at an MESBG event last weekend. Yeah, you're just at every single MESBG event all the time, aren't you? Finally remembered to attend the Monday stream for once. My memory is not good. There haven't been many memories. There haven't been many Monday streams in your defense. We've been really struggling for time on air. Right, I need to do a next colour. What shall I do next? I think Storm Vermin Fur is where we go next, and we use this on their little face coverings, and then we use Karak Stone to jump into a different colour for the Wildwood. Yeah, that's what we're doing. We're kind of a bit off the reservation. There aren't particularly, it feels a bit rude to say, but there aren't particularly high quality, like, heavy metal standard, I would say. examples of these tribes in the Ogre Tribes book. This is an interesting thing. Like the Blood Gullet one, like you can tell because like on the Blood Gullet one, the blood effects are a bit like rushed, I would say. So like if I just pull it out for a moment, let's see, Blood Gullet, Blood Gullet, Blood Gullet. Yeah. So you see how, like, on that butcher there, for example, everything's quite matte. And same, like, over there on the cleaver as well. It's quite matted down, so that it hasn't got that sort of the depth that you would usually see. So we're trying to sort of, like, incorporate elements of that. And you can kind of see it here with the Winterbite hunters there. So there's the Winterbite hunter there. So that's roughly what we're following, but we're changing some things here and there just to kind of try and sort of elevate it a little bit, just a little bit here and there. Right, let's do the next next clip, and then we shall be back to the chat. Nope. Press the button twice. Let's go with this guy. So next up, what we're going to do is we're going to take some thinned down storm vermin fur. I'm going to use this to highlight these face coverings. Just like this sort of thing. We did it! Let's get that back on. Facecam! Jack Stringer with a £5 super chat. You're an absolute bloody legend. Hey Warhipster, have you got any tutorials for Blood Knights? Can't find any on YouTube. Keep up the great work, buddy. No, I haven't got one for Blood Knights. We have talked about it in the past. One of the best videos for following for that is actually the Claw Lord on Norbeast, because you got the different reds going on in that video. If you don't want to wait, which I completely understand, because you know the wait times around here on Warhipster are outrageous, because there's only one of me. I would recommend checking out the Skaven Claw Lord, because you'll see the two different reds that are there for wanting to do it. The other thing as well is that the dark red on the Blood Knights, on my Vampire Lord on foot with the shield, you could also follow that recipe for getting that dark red on the Blood Knights themselves, on the horses. And then the other red, you know, just do like Bile red followed by Blood Angels red. Our sort of classic red recipe. So there's lots of options for sort of like parsing it out, as it were, for extrapolating out the recipe that you want. But if you want to wait, I also understand. It's just I can't tell you when I will do it. I have 10 Blood Knights, and they are all built, and they are all primed, and they are all ready to go. I just haven't had any opportunity to get them done. But thank you so much for the £5 super chat. You're an absolute legend. Guys have been very generous today. Thank you so very much. Oh, that Storm Vermin fur over Black Templar. It's such a nice recipe. Also, hello Josh. It's been a while. I'm still building my ogres right now. Annoying since I'm going to pick up the contents of the second ogre spearhead on Saturday, therefore doubling my workload of big boys. But then you are fully done, you know. Hey Josh, when looking at the Exodite clan of the Ghost Stag, is it me or... But using Nighthawk colour scheme could be almost a one-to-one. I need you to tell me where I can see a picture of that, because I don't know what that is. Is there a pictorial reference I can have a look at? I'm sure you are right, but I would love to be able to answer your question. I am jumping on the 40k green tide. Is there a video on painting squig hogs? There is not. I haven't done squig hogs. I have some. Again, built, primed, ready to go. And if I'd known about the orcs coming this weekend, I would have tried to do them. But I did not know about the orcs this coming weekend. And also, Heatwave. Yay! We're going to have an absolutely ridiculous autumn and winter. I'm telling you now. I've been so pissed off that I've had to spend as much time as I have shackled, unable to paint. So hopefully Games Workshop is like, do you know what? We've released a lot. We're just gonna chill out, and then I'm gonna be like, bro, that was your first mistake. Watch now as I paint the world. Also, ladies and gentlemen, you'll be pleased to hear, because I am somebody who is optimistic that, especially after today, because you guys have been incredibly generous so far, I'm incredibly optimistic that I don't have to go back to working in an office in order to recover my finances. But in a moment of slight insanity, maybe, I have bought, because I wish to try, not with contrast paints, but I wish to try with base and layer paints. I want to try out a wet palette. I bought one. It's on its way. I bought a little wet palette light, I think is what it's called. It's a small little thing from Redgrass Games, and I want to give it a go and see what all the fuss is all about. I'm trying to grow as a person, you know. I'm trying to not be suspicious of everything all the time, and absolutely not going to use it for contrast paints because they definitely don't work. I used one a long time ago for contrast paints, and it was a terrible idea because you just introduce a little bit of water that sort of separates things out, and you can't control what's going on and this, that, and the other. But I bought a wet palette to try out for my base and layers. Growth, ladies and gentlemen, is what that is. So when that arrives, we'll test it out. Yay, Heatwave is over. In the Exodite Kill Team book, it's one of the clans. Oh. I haven't seen that one. I don't know where that book is. I don't know what I've done with it. It'll be here somewhere. Are there any pictures of it on the Warhammer community that I can go and look at by any chance? Because that would be really useful. Lovely. Hello, Jacob. I wanted to say thank you from France for all your content. It really helped me get back into the hobby after a 15-year break. Please finish Armageddon when you can. We'll try. I tried painting one of my Blood Knights and it didn't work out so good. So I thought nope, I'll wait for a Warhipster video. That's fair. Because that book was a proper book, wasn't it? It was a hardback book. Yeah, it's not here. It'll be packed away somewhere. What was it called? Clan of the Ghost Stag. Yeah, there's someone's homebrew version of it, which is bright red. Let's see. Let's think. What would I have done with that book? Where did I put that? Because I would like to answer this question and I would like to see it for myself. No pressure, but I got a winged Nazgul built and primed, and we'll wait until one of these days you will get the time to do a tutorial. I have a winged Nazgul. That's very true. Let's try. Let me just... You can look at these ogres whilst I go and look in a box. Look at these. Give me, like, 30 seconds, because I have an idea. If it's going to be anywhere. It'll be in the pile. Unless it's around the corner. No. Found it. Bam, bam. Alright, where am I looking? What page am I looking at? Ba-dib-a-dib-boo-boo. Page 31. Page 31. 32, 31. Clan of the Ghost Stag. Yeah, it's not far away from Nighthaunt. You probably didn't want the armor to be as vibrant as the brighter parts of Nighthaunt. You probably want it to look a bit more like Dreadscythe Harridan's, which I'm not entirely sure how you would probably do it. I can't remember how Alice did hers. The illustration pictures are always useful to a certain point. and then they fall apart because the colours aren't quite right. You could probably get away with doing like Griff Charger Grey for that armour, I would suggest. I think. You never used a wet palette? No. Well, I used it once, and I tried it with some contrast paints, and it did weird things to the contrast paints. And I was like, "Yep, nope, not using that. That's a terrible idea." So I bought one the other day to try and use with base and layers. See what the vibe is with it. Move to the western part of Norway where you've barely seen the sun all summer. You can paint all day. Oh, that'd be glorious. That would be glorious. Right, what did I say next? I said Carrack Stone next, didn't I? Good evening, Demogorgon. I don't think contrast paint works with wet palette. No, they don't. You don't want to use water with contrast paint, and especially if you can't control what's happening to them, because water generally tends to sort of like separate out the pigments, which you don't want it to do, obviously, and then it makes it dry funny as well. So you don't use contrast paint on a wet palette, and if I'm using contrast paint most of the time, I don't need a wet palette. See? That's the thing. The only thing we would ever really have needed it for would have been like a big old like for like doing the Custodes, for example, that 2-to-1 mix of Stormhost Silver and Retributor Armor. But it's such an easy mix to make, it doesn't really need it again. You just end up doing like 2 or 3 times. What do you use now to thin your paints on? I use a dry palette, and I love using a dry palette because it's all I need. We need now to use... It was Carrack Stone. Yeah. If anything, contrast may filter into the sponge. That's also a consideration. Something that I'm sure I will learn. By the way, the Orc Knobs are likely going to be a kill team, as the rules they featured for the Codex preview show only 1 grot instead of the full 3 grots they've shown. They're also not pre-ordering with the West. Yeah, I saw that. It was slightly strange. Hello, Mr. James Matthias. Feeling the FOMO about buying the Ogres and adding them to my pile of shame. So what you're saying is more MESBG. Sometimes I hear odd things. Sometimes you do hear some strange things. That is very true. Jack Stringer, thank you very much for becoming a member. Oh, that's a satisfying number to change this to 111. We are over the... Shall we go like that? Why not? Let's do that. Oh no, let's just... This is for the week. Let's try that. Carrack Stone. Where are you, my friend? There you are. Always more MESBG. Always more MESBG is a good vibe. I like it. I keep looking at this, and I do think this might be the best horse I've ever painted. I'm really proud of that horse. We did that last week, or week before. I've really come around to painting horses. I'm really enjoying it. Ooh. Turn around so I can see you. Too bad it's not on Easterling. They all ride all black horses, don't they? At least all the pictures I've seen show them as just on black horses. And we have a really good recipe for that as well. Where am I going? What am I doing? I want this one. And I want to do that. And I want to go like this. And I want to go like that. And I want to do... So with that storm vermin fur all applied, we then take a little bit of some thinned down Karak stone, and we use this to add some little spot highlights, for example, to the furs inside that Black Templar face shroud, like this sort of thing. But what we also do with the Karak stone is we're going to use this to highlight the wood. I think your hammer horse is the best. That was a good horse. That was a good horse. I also think my Shadowfax was pretty good. I really like the recipes in the Burning of the Westfold book for the white and black horses that they did. They're really effective. They are... I would show you them, but unfortunately they are downstairs. Because I haven't unpacked them since Ardacon. Which you should really do. Boom. The trouble is, ladies and gentlemen, I don't know if you experienced the same thing, but, and I'd be interested to hear what you guys have to say, but like, the new Rohan horses and the new character horses for the Rohirrim are so deliciously beautiful, and they're just so elegant, and they look wonderful, that they absolutely deserve, like, just that little bit of extra work here and there on the skin. But for me personally, like, I think like going too far on like the slightly older MESBG horses, like the metal ones or the resin ones, actually just makes them look worse. Because they're in that horrible frying cast resin or that sort of lumpy metal and type things. And then actually you kind of detract from the model by going too far with it because there's too many sort of unnatural edges. I don't know if you've experienced that, but that's what I've experienced. And the same would go for like old world stuff as well. Maybe it's just me. Good evening, Mini Painting Dad. Hello, Paul. Hello, Mr. Hipster. Just wanted to say thank you for all the wonderful tutorials. I'm currently building the Old World core set. Nice. Nice. Good strong box, that. I gave that a glowing review, that one. I think it was a great box. The funniest part of this year, and I don't know if you guys agree with me on this, I think, but we've had a couple of core sets. Fire and Ash springs to mind. You know, the Spearhead box for Age of Sigmar. And we've had the Old World core set. We've also had, I think it was this year, the Blood Bowl set. That also happened, didn't it? With Tomb Kings and Bretonnians in it. And we've had the Armageddon set. And for old hobbyists like me, I think the Armageddon set might have been the weakest one so far. It's not to say it's bad, I just... For me personally, I think it's been one of the weakest ones. With all this talk of MESBG, though, is anybody interested in getting one of those new battle hosts? I'm getting a subscription and we'll be getting 6 spearheads, so hopefully the tutorials will help. We've got a lot. How many spearheads? Which ones are you getting? I'll be able to help direct you at least a little bit. In terms of which ones we've done. Oh, you got the magazine subscription. I see what you're saying. Yeah, we've done quite a few of those. It warms my cold, dead heart when people tell me that my videos help them with their first steps into Warhammer. It really does. Warriors of Chaos are a gorgeous range, especially the new dragon. The new dragon is something else, right? It's so good. Oh, there's a little bit of wood there. Do that. Couple of dots. Boop, 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 boop. Done. Oh, I've got some stitches to do as well. 40k always lose when it comes to minis compared to AOS and Old World. But that hasn't always been true. That's the thing. It's like 40k is amazing. Let's get one thing straight. 40k is a wonderful, wonderful game. It's a wonderful universe that I have spent many, many, many years inhabiting and enjoying. And I love it very, very much. And I'm excited to play more of this edition. I want to be really into this edition. But I just feel like it's been very safe for a very long time, and I want it to be a little bit more daring, a little bit more like out there, a little bit more crazy. You know, it's the same way. Like I really like. I enjoy the Marvel films when they're a little bit crazy. You know, like I really liked of the television shows that they've put out. I really enjoyed WandaVision and the Loki show a lot. Because it's just something slightly different, you know. It's a little bit like it's not safe. And when you have an IP like they have, you can afford to be unsafe with it, as it were. I've been trying to get started on my Krieg, but I played my first game ever with Blood Angels and ended up buying like 5 more things. Yeah, that happens. That happens to the best of us. But could they be unsafe with 40k? Absolutely they could. You can do all kinds of weird stuff. You have the opportunity with at least 5 of the factions, right? With Chaos, Space Marines, Thousand Suns, Death Guard, and World Eaters. To just go off the reservation. To just go fully crazy. Necrons, you also have that opportunity because, you know, it can be literally anything you can make with that. You know, and that has been proven out by, like, that is a range that has Necron warriors but also has a Nightbringer in it, as an example. Dark Eldar, you can go absolutely insane with like the sort of like the the body horror, like with the grotesques and like the Talos Pain engines and stuff like that. You can just create new stuff that goes hard, in that universe. Orcs have the potential, because you can ramshackle anything you want together to make whatever you want for them. You have to be a little bit more boring with like Space Marines and like Guard and stuff like that. But boring doesn't mean bad, you know. And also, if you change like what the vibe of certain things are, you can go a little bit crazy with it. And you can just create like new cool stuff that like really like hits you where hits you in the good place, for those factions, right? So that you can create, like, if you think of like how much people really liked the like the artillery pieces for the Krieg, that's an example of like hitting it right where in the right spot for a certain faction, which isn't crazy with it, but it's really cool. Like obviously sort of sticking to doing things like, you know, like the Death Riders remained and stuff like this. But like for Space Marines, like think of like different roles that they could fulfill and then create a new thing that fills that role. You know, the thing I've often said is, if you want to do a really cool, like, one thing you can't really do is an all Gravis army. You can do it, but it's not going to be very good. If you do like a close combat Gravis army, and you give them like big siege dudes, There's a Gravis with like siege hammers and stuff like that, where it's just this, you know, this unit of a Space Marine, and have them like slow and ponderous, but with a gigantic hammer. That appeals to something in the senses, you know. In the same way, like if you've played World of Warcraft, a lot of people like to pick things like, or especially on the Horde side, I always pick things based on the size of pauldrons, you know. Just little bits and pieces here and there. If you go big pauldrons, it just feels good. Tyranids, you can be really wild with Tyranids instead of just bipedal alien monsters. You can do that. Like the Red Terror is an alien horror. It's great. The Norn Emissary is not. It's a big, impressive model, and it looks fantastic, but it's not very particularly... It's like if you take a Hive Tyrant and just go, let's make this 75% bigger, and then we'll strap, like, something to the back of it. Do you see what I mean? It's not particularly, like, out of the... It's not particularly imaginative, I would say. Doubt they will be unsafe with Space Marines, since that is the special child. But here's the thing. You can make really cool Space Marine models, and they prove it time and time again. Like Blade Guard. I will always point out Blade Guard. Blade Guard were a new thing. Never heard of them before. We had Stern Guard and Vanguard, and then Blade Guard came along. And Blade Guard were spectacular. Right? And everybody bought them. You will make way more money as a business making a Blade Guard than you will redoing Intercessors. Do you see what I mean? Right. These are coming along quite nicely. I think we do Corax White next, is what we do. This is one of those paints that very nearly died in the heat. But it's clinging on. Here's a great example, right? You have a range now where Subadan Khan exists. Okay? As a White Scars player, Subadan Khan is a model. Subadan Khan is on a jet bike. Now, that could be a unique thing just to him, but it would be very cool if Games Workshop went, okay, let's do some heavy bikes that he can be attached to. Right? It's something new. It's something different. Nobody has it currently. So the blueprint is there. And like, a multi-part Outriders kit is great. But it's been so long that a lot of people have either converted their own Outriders and done a bunch of them, or they're just not fussed. So it becomes this thing of like, here's this new kit, and you go, yeah, that's really cool, but it's not what I wanted. See what I mean? The land speeder returning. Alright. Nice. It's a nice land speeder. It's a good looking land speeder. But we do have storm speeders, who I have it on good authority at Newport did extremely well and probably are going to get nerfed. Or at least their points are going to get somewhat curbed. You know? Andy, thank you very much for the $20. Did you want to send a message with that? That's very kind of you. Thank you very much. Guys, you've been amazing. You've really showed up today. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. Like with Eldar, great looking new plastic, a great looking new aspect warriors, but every Eldar player already had their own of the old version. Yamel Angmar, you are spot on. That is the fundamental problem with here are plastic aspect warriors. The people who have asked for plastic aspect warriors are the ones who've already done 30 Finecast ones, and therefore they're not interested in doing them if they look very similar, and a lot of them already did look very similar. I suspect you're going to see the same thing happen with Dire Avengers in this edition. I suspect we'll get a new. My money would be on Dire Avengers being the thing that Games Workshop releases either as a kill team or as the Eldar release this year. And a lot of people would be like, okay, that's cool. They're nice, but I've already got 30. Don't need any more. And with that Karak stone all applied, we now take some thinned down Corax white. I'm going to use this to highlight, well, our little white bits. There we go. Let's get this one done, and then we'll jump back into the chat. Dun, 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 dun. Nice. Nice. There we go. One more. Whilst I got it thinned down, otherwise we'll have to thin down some more precious white, Corax white. That's one of the, as I said, it's one of the many paints that didn't really survive the heat wave. And I have a replacement, but I just want to eke out what I can. There's a little bit left. Okay. White is done. I still think we're getting Space Marine Jess Breaks. Makes no sense to have the White Scars dude with no others. Well, it's him and what's his name? The Raven Wing. That guy. Can't remember his name. It's gone. It'll come back to me in a minute, or you guys will remember. That's why I want new stuff, not just updated old kits. Yeah, exactly. A little healthy balance of the two. Healthy balance of the two is always a good thing. Samael, thank you very much, Demogorgon. It's still a little weird that for Space Marines it's nothing new this edition. It's only returning United or units or upgraded ones. Yeah, we shall find out. The new Phoenix Lords are amazing. They're very good, yes. The one thing I will say is at the time when they all came out, there was only one Phoenix Lord that sold out, and it was Lycus, the Whispering Web. And the reason why It's because that was new and no one had it. I've been watching your How to Paint Ogre Iron Guts, the Creed camo for the pants. Had you thinned it down with Lamy Medium? I find it so dark otherwise. If you struggle with Creed camo, 4 parts Creed camo to 1 part Lamy Medium will do the trick. You have to be careful with Creed camo because its dark pigment is so much darker than its light pigment, which is why it's very splotchy when it happens. Same thing that happens with Shaiish Purple and Ultramarines Blue does the same thing as well. The darker pigment is so much darker than the brighter pigment. It's a wider gap, so it feels really splotchy when you use it. So if you're able to just get the light on it by being that really smooth and get it just in the recesses, it works. The 4 parts Lamy Medium to 1 part, not 4 parts Lamy Medium, 4 parts Creed camo to 1 part Lamy Medium will help you massively with getting it. I didn't do it, but it will help you massively, and it won't change the color too much. I don't have many paints or money for tools and paints, and do you have any simple tips on how to get good use out of limited tools I might have? Yeah. The thing I would say, like, the best tip I can give you is what's the right word? Discerning? Yeah, maybe discerning. Be discerning with the way you purchase your tools. You will, as a consequence of being in this hobby, eventually build up a big collection. You do not need to do it all right away. Something that you can do that can really help you is figuring out recipes specifically within your thing without having to buy too much. And also, if you then expand outside of like different factions or different things, is copy and pasting those recipes around your models. Remembering that if you've got, like, I've got Blood Angels Red and I've got Evil Sun Scarlet and I've got Agrax Earthshade, that's your red recipe. You can copy and paste that to your heart's content. Mixing your paints together will give you different tones naturally. Having the brightest part of a triad and the darkest part of a triad will give you the middle part of the triad. So if you have, for an example, Eshin Grey and Administratum Grey as your 2 grey paints, mixing them together, you'll get an approximation of Dawnstone in between. You can use white to just like brighten paints up, and you can use black to bring paints down, but that's very much a trial and error thing. I've never really done that. There's some tips for you. If you watch my videos, the best thing you can do is watch my video up to Warhipster Battle Ready. You do not need to buy every single paint that I use in every video. The most investment that comes from my videos is the plus part. It's the next step onwards. When I say Warhipster Battle Ready, that's the boom. You could walk away now and this model looks great. But we take it to the next level by adding some layers and some highlights. That's the thing. So if you engage with my videos, yeah, stop at Warhipster Battle Ready. You'll look great, and go back to it later if you want to. If you want a really good way of making your models pop, but you don't want to buy loads and loads of highlights, doing a very gentle dry brush of Screaming Skull over everything, very gentle, but a very gentle dry brush of Screaming Skull over your entire model will make it look like it's got highlights. Even if you just like spot dry brush it, like in the corners and stuff. Screaming Skull is a neutral off-white, and what it does is it then acts as a really nice highlight for literally every color. You can go up on every color to Screaming Skull. That's a pro tip. That's one way of doing it. 4 parts Krieg and 1 part medium. Yeah, 4 parts Krieg and 1 part medium. The medium, in the 4 parts to 1, this is the best way I've found, is if you do 4 parts contrast paint, 1 part to medium, you don't lose too much of the colour, but what happens with the medium is it extends the drying time, which makes it easier to apply, basically. That's what the 4 to 1. That's why I usually go with that. Tallman, hello Josh, you said that some paints didn't survive the heat wave. What would you say the temperature is where paints go bad? And thank you for all the wonderful videos. It's not a specific temperature where paints go bad, and your mileage will vary. Mine happens because basically, there's a little sweet spot on this wall where early in the morning, if it's really hot, the sun just hits it. It's this sort of section just here. So they sit in direct sunlight, which is where they can get a little bit cooked. The other thing as well is sometimes the lids aren't on properly, right? Because I sometimes, like this one right there, the pallid witch flesh. This one's one of the ones that's pretty gone. The lids don't shut properly, not all of the time. So again, being exposed to things. Some of the paints that I really struggled with were stuff where it was really hot and I was trying to do some painting in the morning or trying to do some painting in the evening. I had the paint open, used it, and then the heat got trapped within it or humidity got trapped within it, which then didn't help with keeping it 100, I think is what the kids say. So that's one thing to sort of bear in mind. The best thing you can do is just not use them when it's hot, and they'll generally be fine. And also just close the curtain. That also helps. But yeah, if it's 40, like it got up here at one point. If it's 44 degrees Celsius, don't even attempt to paint. Have you ever decanted Citadel paints into dropper bottles? No, because I don't like dropper bottles. So I would be making my life worse by doing that. Right, we need Kislev flesh. And we want to go 1, 2, 3. Yeah, 3 parts will do it with Kislev. Let's go for some skin. Filming. So with that Corax white all applied, what we're now going to do is we're going to take some Kislev flesh and we're going to thin this down sort of roughly 3 or 4 parts water to make it nice and runny. And we're going to use this as a little glaze over the top of the skin. Boom. Interesting tip with Screamers Girl. When I started with contrast, I bought every single paint from the Marshall Dreer video. I was expensive but worth it. I could paint every creek I have with that. Well, exactly. I mean, you end up in an ecosystem with one of my videos, and you end up being able to just extrapolate things from certain videos into other videos and other miniatures as well. If you like the way I did a red in let's just say if you like the way I do my Blood Angels, then use that red for every red you ever want to do. Even if I change things up slightly. There are some models where, for example, like the way I often approach the way I approach my miniature painting and the content production that I do is when we are looking at a new model kit, for example, if I can, I will copy and paste certain recipes because it looks like it's the same color. But if it's not the same color, then I will change it up because it might be somebody's very first video that they find me, and they might want to know how to do that. And in the case of something like Marshall Dreer, like paint the rest of their cavalry that way as well. So we do things as close as we can to the box art as possible because it might always be somebody's first video. But if it's not your first video and you've seen many of my videos before, you absolutely can and should, from the stuff that from the knowledge that I impart, pass that out into other stuff that you do. Because it'll give you like the confidence more, as it were, to do your thing. Sorry if you've already mentioned this. I've just jumped into the stream. Do you have a rough release schedule for the ogre painting vids? Loved what you've put out so far. I don't yet. I haven't thought that far ahead. Currently finished. We have the cleavers, the butcher, and these guys will be done today if I have anything to say about it. I mean, we're getting pretty close now. And we're not going to be able to finish them on stream, but this has been a really helpful hang out and chill with you guys. It's been a wonderful stream. You guys have been amazing. Thank you so much for all the gifts and all the super chats so far. We might be able to stave off forced retirement at this rate. So a massive thank you to you guys. I'll ask you a question. Which of these three do you want to see first? And don't say read them all, because I haven't started that one yet, but I'll be starting that one either tonight or tomorrow. But these videos will start coming out this week. Definitely one on Thursday. Maybe one on Friday as well. Probably one on Saturday. I might do something slightly different on Saturday. I don't know. I've got a couple of things in the locker. Might break up the ogres, or just get the ogres out, you know, get it done. Haven't figured that, haven't thought that far ahead yet. I'm going to look up and see read them more, aren't I? No. Hunters, please, before they get nerfed. Alright, we'll go for it. We'll try and get these done. Are these really strong, are they? These are... Should I have done these first? This is always the hardest part of my job. One of the most difficult parts of this job is when you don't have the rules, which I frequently don't. I don't know which version of which thing is the good thing to do. And if I do the bad version of this thing, people don't want to watch the video. Because, well, that's not the good one. You know? Which is, that's absolutely fine. Especially when there's such a disparity. But, like, I was texting with Adam, and I said, I don't know which one is... I don't know which one's better, the cleavers or the gutsies, and he said the cleavers. The cleavers are the one that people are going to want to watch. And I was like, okay, that makes sense, because they're very good. But I was looking at the rules, and I was like, it's not entirely clear to me. And he said that the gutsies, it was kind of what I thought, but like the gutsies are nice, but like the gutsies are like a tech piece that you have to sort of lean into using, and there's not really much reason to lean into them. Whereas the cleavers are just like full bore DPS, and they're very simple to just put into any Ogre collection, so you might as well do them. And I was like, yeah, makes sense. Repurpose and reapply colours Josh has used or bribed because you can't paint yours without knowing how Josh did a specific model, because you know you'll hate yours when he someday does his, or that's just me. That's also a thing. Have you tried any Sterling mud alternatives from different brands? Yeah, I tried a Vallejo mud. I didn't like it that much because it was like quite stringy. It's very inconsistent on the inside of the pot. Didn't like it so much. I know you endorse them, but how much of a difference do the ruby brushes make with things like contrast paints? They're very good. They hold their point, so they're a lot easier to spot when you have too much on your brush. The Citadel ones don't generally tend to do that. So the ruby brushes, because they hold their point a lot better, it's a lot easier to spot when you've overloaded or underloaded the brush. What they're also good at is because they're not like the big one, what's it called? The Backlog Banisher, which I have here somewhere. That's the Princess. Which one's that one? That one is the Backlog Banisher, yeah. So the Backlog Banisher, as an example, that one, it's the biggest one. Because it's still fundamentally designed the same way as the Angel, it means it acts the same at that size as that one. Whereas if you compare like a medium layer brush to a shade brush is designed to hold lots of paint in the belly, and therefore when you try and use contrast paints with it, all of that heavy pigment just flows out of it and it just gets out of control. So that's why I always ever use like a medium layer brush. Whereas in this case, when you use the bigger brushes, they act the same as the smaller brushes. They just have more paint in them, which means you can do larger areas. So in that regard, they're very, very, very good. I keep saying this, I do have the Squidmar brushes to test. We are going to start doing that very soon. I just keep starting things with these and forgetting to do that. And I don't want to swap halfway through a video from these to the Squidmar brushes. But these are very good. They're very, very nice. Really wish we could get brushes like that in the USA. Yeah, I wish you could too. One of the reasons I want to test the Squidmar ones is if they are very similar, then they are for purchase in the US. So that will be a if I give it the seal of approval, that will be the Warhipster seal of approval for something you could definitely get in the US as well. I'm pretty sure. I honestly don't even use contrast much at all, but I use your videos for general reference. They help a lot. Well, that's very kind. I'm glad. I think more and more about how, and I am thinking more and more about how we go about simplifying some things, but also using a bit more like base and layer here and there for certain stuff. We do it very occasionally when it's just like, there's no point trying to mix this color. Like Incubi Darkness. When I see something where I go, that is Incubi Darkness, trying to mix it or layer it to get to that point is so much more hard work than just using Incubi Darkness. That I'm like, yeah, we're just trying to do more and more of that. So yeah, I'm thinking about the format a little bit. Like the contrast, I really love using contrast paints, but I'm also very aware sometimes of like okay, well, if we do this and this and this and this and this and this and this, we'll get there. But that's a lot of work to get that one colour that way when we could just do Inky by Darkness. You see what I mean? So it's like, we will get to doing that sort of stuff. We're trying to, at least. It's just finding opportunities to do it. Is this the Nasdrag tutorial? I don't have him. I need to buy him. And I don't have any money to do that currently. But chat's been extremely generous today. We actually had 112 new members. I've missed one somewhere. Somebody became a member. I didn't put it on. So we've had 112 new members today, which is amazing. Lots of super chats. Incredible. So thank you so very much for all your support, guys. It really does. It makes all the difference. It makes being able to do this possible. Like it takes a village sometimes. It really does, especially after like 3-4 months of it being really difficult. I will not go into the details of how bad it's been, but it has been very bad. We have not been able to do anywhere near as much content. We've barely clung on to being able to do the Thursday and Saturday videos, but and YouTube is a fickle mistress. YouTube wants to punish you. Well, they don't want to punish you. Like YouTube wants to. YouTube very much like it's all like Rolling Stones gathering moss all the time with YouTube. You see, like if you have a bunch of videos in a row that don't do so well because everybody's outside enjoying their lives, YouTube goes, no one's watching you anymore, so we're just going to stop. We're going to stop pushing your videos. Which is something that happens. And similarly, like if you don't stream for ages, like we haven't been able to, it means less people know about your stream, which means it's just all this kind of thing. And like when you're not posting as much, YouTube thinks that I don't care about it anymore, and that's not true. YouTube, I care about you very much. You're my main source of income. Please don't leave me. You're the best. What the hell? Name is long enough to be annoying. What on earth are you up to? And Mini Painting Dad with the 5 gifted Warhipster memberships as well. Guys, thank you so much. That ought to do it. My goodness. That's the right maths. I did it. I did maths. Can you eat now, Josh? Yeah, damn right. Damn right. I know name is long enough to be annoying made it so whenever they gift you have to read out their long annoying name. That is, yeah. That's the way. You can't eat the Easterlings. No, I don't want to eat the Easterlings. I want to paint them. Because if I eat them, I will... Well, I mean, look, that's the speedrunning... That's speedrunning the end of the channel by eating resin and therefore no longer being able to paint because I'm dead. And he knows he gets a thanks Tony when he posts an MBSPG video. You're too kind. You're too generous. You're too wonderful. I was literally about to wrap things up. Because it's now 7:30. And that's generally the time that we end. We've done a huge amount of work on these. I hope you'll agree. I think they're looking pretty good. For those who, you know, tell me what you think. What do you think, guys? What do you think of our hunters with Sabrefangs? Do you like? Do you like? Urukai, I think is your XX Urukai XX with the 20 euros My God, what are you guys doing to me? Thank you for all your videos. I'm a beginner painter and you're my way to go to fight the grey. That sounds to me like an MESBG fan right there. You are a legend. And if you're not, you're also a legend. That's also fine. I think the helmets were supposed to be leather, right? I can never tell. Sometimes it looks leather, sometimes it looks silver. I've gone with silver because I like it being silver. I need to highlight them, obviously. Basically the things to wrap up here, to finish these off, I'll show you what we're going to do next, later this evening, is we are going to do, where's Flayed One Flesh? Where's that gone? Oh, it's right here. I haven't used it. So we need to finish off our Hunters with Sabrefangs. It's not a huge amount left to go. Flayed One Flesh to highlight all of the skin, just a little bit here and there. We need Ironbreaker to highlight all the silver. Screaming Skull to do 2 dots in the sides of their eyes and also to highlight all of the bone colours. And we also need to use some Fenrisian... No, it's not Fenrisian, it's Blue Horror. We need Blue Horror to highlight this trophy back here, the Troggoth head back there. And we will also need to use some Nurgling Green for the 2 green trophies. So you've got this little scales back here, and you've got the scales on that guy's quiver there as well. We're going to use Nurgling Green to make it sort of a little bit less jewel-toned. And that's it for highlighting these guys, which makes them finished. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 highlights left to go. On these guys, and then we've got the Sabrefangs themselves, which we are going to do in that sort of Winterbite scheme that's also in the there we go, that's the Sabrefang. So we're going to do them with basically Space Wolves colours. Told you MESBG folks like you. They clearly they do. I hope they do. Will you do a Nazdrake tutorial? I don't have him. Prefer Blood Gullet style. Well, just so helps that we've done some Blood Gullets. There you are. There's a Blood Gullet cleaver. I really like how the blood came out on this guy. And the Butcher as well. Where is the big man? Red the Moor is there. So yeah, we got that's what is left to do. So 5 and then the Sabrefangs. So it's looking good. Sabrefangs, like I said, we're going to be doing Space Wolves Grey. Red the Moor is not finished. You see this pile of Wraithbone just here? That is Red the Moor. That's Red the Moor right there. So yeah, we're going to do Space Wolves Grey, Tyrann Blue. We're going to glaze it with Fenrisian Grey. We're going to highlight with Blue Horror. Then we're going to do a little bit of blending here and there with some Leviathan Blue as well. That's what we're going to do. But there will be a video on this that will come out very soon. It'll be out hopefully by the end of the week. I just got to focus and get it done, and then we can paint Red the Moor over there. Can you bring him up? Oh, it's so far away. It's not painted, so no, it's just a primed Red the Moor. You'll see it soon, and hopefully going to start that tonight, if not tomorrow. We shall see. But yeah, right. I think we're gonna. You can then look at my Discord and tell me about how bad my stupid Daughters of Cain are. They are so, this guy with his much better job of painting Daughters of Cain than mine did. Honestly, brother. Stop it. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for an incredible stream. Insanely generous of you with your money and your time and your chat and your love and your support. I really appreciate you. We are going to wrap things up there because it's 7:30, which means it's time for me to go and sort out dinner. We will be back on Wednesday, possibly finishing off Red the Moor. So we might be doing that. Or we might build some other miniatures. or we might do something else. It depends on how productive the next 48 to 72 hours are. So we'll be back live on Wednesday at 8:30 p.m. GMT, and this week you will see in any variation the Butcher, the Blood Gullet Cleavers, the Sabrefangs, and Red the Maw. All of that content is on the way. So keep an eye out for all of it, and I will be back very, very soon on Wednesday. I hope you have a great rest of your week. Thank you for being the best in the world. You take that to the bank. Tell them, Josh said I'm the best in the world, so approve me for my loan. And they'll be like, yeah, okay, well, Josh is the arbiter of quality. So yeah, sounds good. Anyway, see you later, guys. Thank you very much. And I'll see you all in the next one. Bye for now.